Hey, it's Tiffany Lorraine Galloway, certified high performance coach, here with another episode of the Resilient Mother podcast. This month, we are talking about empowerment, how to empower mothers, how to empower children to be resilient and thrive. And with me today, I have Karen Dean, who's going to share her message with us and her story. Karen, thank you for being here. Tell us more about you.
Thank you for having me. I have called myself a self-made resilience expert, and I actually now teach people about resilience. I've learned a lot through a lot of really hard situations in my life. I've also studied it along with mindset and how to build confidence and how to run successful businesses even. And it's just my passion now to empower as many people as I can with the tools to be resilient and to live a better life. It helps us be successful, more successful in every relationship, in our work, in our intimate relationships, in our parenting relationships, in our friendships. I think there's just so much power and resilience. And I love that you are sharing the same message.
Yay! Oh, I love the people I attract on here. It feels always very serendipitous with who shows up. And with that, I would really like to know that you've been studying this, you're in this, what your definition of resilience is.
My definition is being able to get back up when life tries to knock you down, because life is always trying to knock us down. And I always say it's also a muscle. And the more we work that muscle, the easier it is. So like going to the gym and working on our physical body, every time we go, that exercise, that weight, whatever, gets a little easier. And I always say when we use these resilience tools every day and every time we face a hard thing, the next hard thing doesn't seem as hard. And that's really what resilience is all about, is being able to get through the hard things a little easier each time.
So with that, can you share with us a little bit of your story of where this resilience journey started for you and when you started empowering yourself with this tool?
It's been a very long journey, most of my life actually. Grew up in a kind of toxic, dysfunctional family that I'm now estranged from for the last almost 6 years. And then I, had my first love, my high school boyfriend, abusive relationship. Then I, in university, was raped by someone I knew and trusted, and went on to first marriage, abusive relationship, had 2 children in that marriage. My second child, my son, was born with a permanent brain injury. I was told he would probably never be able to walk or talk. We did a lot of work, me and him, and he is as normal as the rest of us now. He indeed does walk, talk, and does everything else the rest of us can do, and started school with no adaptations. And then I finally left the first abusive marriage, jumped right into another one. And that marriage actually was way worse than the first one. Ended with him abusing one of my children. And I've been a completely solo mom since 2011 and raising my kids on my own. When I became a solo mom, they were just turned 14, 10, and 3. And they are now all thriving. But in that time, since I became a solo mom, my oldest daughter had her lung collapse when she was 14. She was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when she was 15. And my son, who was never supposed to walk or talk, went on in 2020, the beginning of the pandemic, was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of cancer. And he is now in remission. I credit the resilience tools that I have taught my children with him having one of the easiest cancer journeys I have ever heard of in my life. And he's in remission and doing well. And through all of that, I've built businesses. I wrote a best-selling book. I shouldn't say I published a best-selling book because it's my story and 21 other women's stories. I've built a house, I've built a hobby farm, and all 3 of my kids are these amazing humans that, did not let all of those hard things define who they were. And I think that is success to me, was raising 3 good humans who go out in the world and do good things and help others and are kind. And that was my goal. And mission accomplished so far. 2 of them are adults.
So I don't know if you guys heard all of that, but everything from rape, abuse, divorce, a child with special needs, cancer, that's a lot. And
It's
and
been a
there's some
lot.
of us that have lives like that. I can relate in so many ways. Somebody once said, "You've lived like 4 lives."
Mhm.
And
I
some of
get
us do.
questioned now. People say, when something bad happens in your life, are you just like, whatever? And I'm like, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's now like, let's do this. I have the tools. I
Yes.
know I can do this. And, I'm not perfect. I still have fear. I still get sad and worried and scared. But I now know how to get through that way better than I did the first time.
I hope this encourages somebody to realize that you're not at all captive by anything that's happened to you or anything
Right.
in your past.
For
And I think
sure.
that's the first part of resilience is just the acceptance of this is what happened to me, or these are the circumstances. Here's my part in it. Here's not my
Yeah.
part in it. What control and what action do I want to take next? So I'm kind of curious because I know in my own journey, there was this point where it's like, I'm still attracting these narcissistic men. Why? I'm still having issues in this area of my life. Why? I mean, it's like work that's never done. But I'm really curious what kind of that turning point was where you really clung to resilience, because I think in that part of your story is where the power lies for somebody else to really make that real change.
What happened for me was I hired a life coach. At the time, I thought it was $150 to go to this 4-week workshop, and you got a couple of one-on-ones with her. I thought at that time I wasn't worth investing $150 in myself, but I did. And I went to talk to her, and she, like you said, she asked me what my part in this was. And I got really upset and thought, these people abused me and they did this and they did that. And I was like, how could I have anything to do with that? And then she gave me a postcard, which I've now made into stickers and I give out at every talk that I do. And she said, I want you to take this home and I want you to put it by your bathroom mirror. And I want you to read these words out loud every single day while you look at yourself in the mirror. And it took me 2 years to be able to do that. But it was the most powerful tool that I've ever had given to me. And probably the best gift I've ever had given to me as well. And the words are, I deeply and completely love myself.
Yes.
And I couldn't say that. I couldn't believe that. Because
Right.
of all of the toxic relationships in my life, I was told I didn't deserve to be loved. I wasn't someone who could be loved. All of those negative voices we all listen to were still stuck in my head. And that's why it took me 2 years to be able to say that to myself. And whenever I do this in a live audience, I make people repeat it. And there is always someone in tears.
Absolutely.
And it's just so powerful that we let the voices of other people determine our own value. And that was my turning point where I'm like, you know what? I am worthy of all the good things. And since I started believing that, my life has just been phenomenal. Yeah, there's still been some really hard things like my kids getting sick. And I still don't have that man of my dreams. He hasn't driven in my driveway yet. And
You're here.
announced his
Let me know how
arrival.
that goes.
Right? I don't have all the things, the fairy tale that I always thought my life would be, but I have this incredible life and incredible kids, and I get to help people every day. And that is what really means the most to me.
I think it's so important to recognize that everything that we go through can have a purpose, and we can
It
give it
does.
purpose.
It does have a purpose. Always.
And when we serve others, that's the greatest gift.
Yeah. And there's all of the bad things, we get presented with them to learn from them. And if we can go into it with that mindset, not why is this happening to me, but what is this trying to teach me? It really changes how you deal with it. And, that's part of our building resilience, is figuring out, what is this bad thing trying to teach me? And because your podcast is about mothering, like, what can I teach my kids from this?
Yes.
And that's always been my goal. The day that I found out the abuse that was happening to my child, I just thought, okay, I need to get my kids through this in the most healthy way possible. Because we see kids so often who have been through divorces or been through whatever in life and make really bad choices about, maybe they do drugs or they become alcoholics or they get in trouble with the law. And you see that so often. I'm like, I can't let my kids do that. I have to teach them to be good people. And I have to show them that this is not a reflection of them at all.
Mhm.
And that we can get through this and still have this amazing life.
And I think that's the difference between what happened to you and what you did for the next generation. And I really see the resilient mother as somebody that's going to uplift the next generation to thrive. And I think you really hit on the key there of like making sure that you are always valued. When you come from a chaotic, unstable childhood, it just screws your mind up because it's developing. And so survival mode, not having your needs met, your attachment, all of those things are not allowed to develop in a healthy way. And it takes getting away from that environment or having a pivotal point to realize that there's work that you have to go back and love on that child and let that child know that they're worthy. But as a mother, now you know. Like now you know how important it is what your words are, what your actions are on. Are you building self-worth? Are you making sure they know they're loved anyway? Are you making sure that they know bad things happen to good people? Are you letting them know that you can overcome anything that happens in your life? But you have to decide you're worthy of it and that you want it.
Yeah.
Because I think too, we can get caught in giving as a mother.
Yes.
And we have to make sure that we are full and that we're able to give. So there's a balance there because we have to be an example of what it is to be empowering to ourselves, but also be empowering to our child.
Right. And so many of us try to shelter our kids from those bad things, and we're really doing them a disservice because I chose to be real with the kids, and they probably heard a lot of things that other kids their age didn't hear. I tried to keep the messages as age appropriate as possible, but I had to be the person that they always knew was going to tell them the truth.
Yes.
So that was where we started. And I've always been open and honest with them. I've always been so real with them. And to go back to my oldest daughter, who was abused by my ex-husband and then had the lung collapse and then the MS diagnosis, I taught her, she taught herself. I mean, we've just been through so much together, but she went on to graduate from high school with $30,000 in scholarships and high honors and has completely been independent since she moved away to go to college. And she was still 17 when she started college. And she's now 26, owns a home, has a wonderful relationship, just had a baby on December 4th, has a management job in healthcare. And, she's just this phenomenal young woman. And I'm so proud of her. But I don't think that could have happened if I hadn't have been real with her. And if I hadn't have given her the tools to get through the hard things. And pretending it didn't happen is not the tool.
No.
Or
pretending like it doesn't affect you for the rest of your life. Oh, you had some counseling. You seem okay now. You're done. It's never done. And there's so many tools out there, but we have to give them. And we have to take the shame and the guilt out of being the victim, or they'll be the victim their whole life. I myself was molested as a child, and I had some counseling. Oh, she's fine. And then I hit teenage years and all the hormone changes and everything and the chemistry of it all. Holy cow. The work was not done. And we're changing. Our culture is more aware of the need for professionals in psychiatry and mental health awareness. And those weren't in place. And there were some things I had to get through with even me going, oh, I need help, because I felt like I was broken. I think that's the key thing, is you don't feel worthy because somebody said you're broken or you made a fatal mistake and your failure is fatal. If any of that is wrapped around any of your psychology, you're still giving into those voices that you talked about earlier. That's not your voice. Yeah. That's not your truth. Your truth will set you
Yeah.
up to thrive. Your truth will bring out the best in you, and you will feel peace and you will feel alignment. And we need to give those gifts to our kids, no matter what they've gone through. They need to go, all right, here's what happened. What do you want to do about it? Because we can do something about this. You are in control of your emotions. You're in control of your thoughts. You are in control of your actions. And I think, too, I found it empowering to think, if I don't get better, if I don't do the work, they win. I'm giving the power to my abuser if I do not do the work to get better. And and when we do that, and our kids can see that, I think that's the most empowering gift we can give them.
I agree. And I think what happened with her brother, my son, being sick as a preschooler, like from 8 weeks old until he started school, we were at a hospital a lot. And I always told him, because he struggled with every developmental milestone, there's no such thing as I can't. There's only I don't want to. And that got kind of drilled into my kids for so many years. And I think that's the attitude that got them through everything. I mean, my daughter, when she was laying on a hospital bed, getting a spinal tap, at that time we were dairy farmers, and she was supposed to show her cow at a show the following weekend. And she looked at me and she said, I'm still going to the show next weekend. And I said, you can't walk right now. She said, I'm going to the show. And she went to the show and showed her calf. And I mean, this is like a 700-pound animal that she's leading around. And I didn't think about it at the time, but now that I am on a mission to teach so many people about this, I think about what a gift it was for her to know that she had the strength to do that, even though today she couldn't walk.
Yeah. And I think that's the power of the mind. Like, that's a real resilient mindset, is that, no, I'm going to do this. And I think some of the tools that you use are probably around that. Could you talk about some of those? What are some of your favorite strategies and tools that you use?
My first, I have 8 that I teach normally, but we don't have time to go into all of them. First one is breathing. The first one is breathing. Is
simple. Yeah.
When you get something that upsets you, our normal is to tense up and hold our breath and our shoulders up. Stop, put your shoulders down and breathe. And I find that even when kids are injured, if they fall down and bang their head, they start to kind of hyperventilate. And it's just saying in your own head, breathe, breathe, breathe. Even if we don't do the full big, yoga deep breaths that, we talk about in so many mindfulness practices, but just reminding yourself to breathe sometimes is so valuable when you're in the midst of something that's, scary or upsetting in any way. What we just talked about, you need to believe that you can do, be, or have whatever it is, because your mind believes whatever you tell it. So if you're saying I can't, it believes you. If you're saying I can, it believes you. So that is, the key is believing it. And those voices, like, set some boundaries. And I tell people this, not just in our face-to-face lives, but on social media. If someone's bringing you down, even by just reading their comments, don't follow them anymore. But if that's in real life, I was 45 years old when I removed my parents and my brothers from my life, because they have been bringing me down for years. And it took me that long to go, wait, they're never going to be the people I want them to be. And I miss the family. I don't miss the family I have. I miss the family I always wished I had. And it's so hard to come to that, where you remove those people from your life who are supposed to love you more than anyone else. But sometimes we have to, if those are toxic relationships. And, it's the same.
Let's define toxic, because I think that, narcissist, toxic, we can throw those words around all we want. I think the key is abuse.
Yeah.
If the relationship is abusive, the abuse is still happening, whether that's little snidey comments or talking behind the back, or those
Yeah.
kind of things that do not show respect for who you are and the journey that you've made, and they're trying to be the crabs in the bucket pulling you down or back to who they're comfortable with,
Right.
that's abuse.
It
If they're
is.
financially manipulating you, that I'm not going to help you out unless you do this, that's
Mhm.
abuse.
Yes.
Anything that is not given freely, which love should be and
Yes.
support should be, is abuse. And that's where it needs to end. And that's the difference between forgiving someone and forgetting. It's
Yeah.
fine to forgive, but you don't have to forget and keep getting abused. That
No.
defeats the purpose. That doesn't get you into a better place. And when you elevate yourself, don't be surprised if people fall away. When you've elevated
Yeah.
yourself, you attract different and new people. You're literally at a different vibration in life, and it's a good thing. It may be uncomfortable at first. It may be a hotter temperature than you're used to, but don't fall back down. Like, let yourself
Right.
gradually, even if you have to gradually get used to it, because really the person you have to live with your entire life is yourself. You
Right.
get to decide.
And that's, yeah. And it's those voices. I always talk about how the voice you hear inside your head should be your own all the
Mhm.
time. And
Yeah.
it should be saying kind things. And that's where that affirmation, the I deeply and completely love myself, helped me so much, was in saying kind things to myself. And something that's really powerful is when that negative thought comes in your head, or that voice comes in your head, that you are now repeating someone else's words to yourself. Think, would I say that to my 5-year-old self? Would I say that to any 5-year-old?
That's a good tool. I like that.
Yeah. Or would I say that to my best friend? And then fast forward, when you think about it now, think, wouldn't 5-year-old me be so proud of where I am today?
Oh, I love that flip. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is really powerful in changing how you think about things.
I've even
And
had to like separate. That's not my voice. Like that's somebody else. Shut up.
yes.
Almost. Or be
Yeah.
quiet. So like, like to separate yourself from the trauma, the negative emotions, the triggers, the voices, like you have to find your truth and all that. And it is really hard when you've been abused. Like it's just confusing at first because you really have to get quiet with yourself, which is uncomfortable, and face
Yes.
those. You have to
Yeah.
face, is that me or not? Is that me or not? Is that me or not? Do I like this? Why do I like this? Do I like it because someone told me I need to like it? Is that what success is, or did somebody else define that for me? So I love that you
Yes.
talked about what success means too, being at the beginning of the year, we're making all these kind of resolutions and different things. We're around Valentine's Day or Single Awareness Day, as we would probably call it.
Yes.
Like, and it's a time where holidays and stuff, you can get really judgmental with yourself about, oh, I am only successful if I can celebrate Valentine's Day with somebody. Why?
Yeah.
Why can't you just love yourself? Or
Exactly.
I'm only
And that's,
successful if I get a kiss on New Year's Eve from somebody. What?
yeah.
Like, why?
And Christmas is really hard
Oh,
for
yeah.
people too, because we're looking at the posts of all these supposedly happy families celebrating together. And I don't have that, and my kids don't have that. And
Right.
we've had to make our own new traditions because that wasn't healthy and it wasn't fun and it wasn't enjoyable at all. I mean, when I ended up taking my family out of my life, it was Thanksgiving weekend, and my dad and my 2 brothers came to my house and called me things I've never been called in my life because my mom had put all these thoughts in their heads about who I was. I mean, my brothers and I don't even have a relationship. They've lived on the other side of the country since 1996. Like, they don't even know me. And the next day, one of my brothers texted me and said, "You should come up for Thanksgiving dinner." And I said, "No, I'm not anymore." And for so many years I had let them treat me that way. And then I went and pretended it didn't happen.
Well,
And
and it's
that
so
was,
funny because they're holding on to what they want family to be. But
yeah,
what they're comfortable family being and what you are comfortable family being don't work. And when they
no.
don't allow you to develop and be a new person and they want to suck you back into the cycle and your role, that's the difference. Like you should be able to show up as your full authentic self with your family.
And not be told you're not good enough or you're ugly or you're stupid or, I was diagnosed with 3 autoimmune diseases in 2019. And one of my brothers was home. He's actually my twin brother. He was home from the other side of the country. When I went to the doctor and I sat in my mom's kitchen and said, they're sending me for an MRI, an emergency MRI for my brain and my spine to see what's going on. And he goes, gonna have to be some good doctor to figure out what's wrong with your head.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
in front of my daughters. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore.
Is the comment helpful? Is it supportive? And we go watch that ourselves. I mean,
Yes.
when we've been raised in a family like that, I'm not gonna be like my parents, and sometimes stuff slips out and I'm like, still working on it, you know?
Yeah.
But the power of our words are empowering or disempowering. They're encouraging or they're discouraging. And they have lasting effect. There's so much power in what we say. And it's so important that we create those boundaries that we need to with people who do not respect our truth, who do not help us live within our truth in alignment with who we are. And maybe we hope someday that that dynamic will change. But when you've tried over and over and over and over again, because you keep getting encouraged to, come on, it'll work. It'll be better. It'll get better. When it doesn't, after a point, it's done. Like when a marriage is dead, a marriage is dead. There's no reviving it. There's no resuscitation. There's just some point when a relationship does not work anymore. And then you just find the people that are your people. And you make your own family. You make your own community. You do things different with your family, and you have a reason why. So we have to be grateful for the lessons we were taught and be grateful for what we learned that we did want and didn't want, and move forward with our lives unapologetically.
Exactly. And as we evolve, those of us who do want to grow and become better people, we outgrow those people who are staying small and trying to keep us small. And, that's how it is. And it's hard to sometimes realize that that's what's happening, but it really is that you're just outgrowing people. And it's time to find new people. And it doesn't have to be 100 people. Sometimes a very small circle is so much more valuable than a big circle of, all kinds of friends that aren't really adding any value. But maybe you have 2 or 3 friends who just give you everything you need. And that's kind of where
think
I'm
about
at.
how many dynamic duos there are out there in like business and business things. You find your right people and things just start moving and flowing. I think that's been my kind of thing I've said in this podcast a lot this year. I'm noticing is finding flow, finding alignment, like not having friction in what you're doing so that you're allowed to just thrive through life. And that comes from finding your truth. And I think knowing your truth helps you to be resilient because you have your foundation and your core to come back to. And you can go, did that feel in alignment with me? Did that bring me peace? Did that bring me joy? Or did it not? But until you have that base and those core values and that core of who you are, it's easy to be influenced by other people or by outside things. And so the work starts in here. But once you do it, you unlock all the power that you've ever needed.
Yeah. And it's all there. Like we all have everything we need inside of us.
Yes.
We, in the big scheme of things, we actually don't need other people because we have everything we need inside of us. The extra people who support us are just a bonus. And, that's really how I've looked at life. And so many people judge you because like I've been single since 2011 and I've only had like 2 very short-term relationships since, one was 10 months and one was 4 months. And I don't date. And people are like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I just don't feel the need to. I have such a wonderful and fulfilling life that, if a man shows up in my life, he is going to have to complement it in such a good way, or I don't have time.
Yeah. I'm looking for someone who either enriches my life or I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. They have to add a lot to my life. And I don't even know how that would happen because my life is just so cool and fun right now that it would have to be some incredible guy.
Well, and I think it can happen. I've ran into couples. I'll go to these conferences and different things, and I'll see these cute couples, and I go talk to them because I just kind of Google over them, or they find me or approach me. They see that I've been single for a while now myself, going on 5 or 6 years here. And same thing, I get asked the same thing. I'm in a culture that's very much about, being married and why aren't you married yet? And you need a partner and all these things. But it's like, I've been through the ringer. I'm waiting for the right person. And the couples that I was talking about, I'll always ask them, was it worth the wait? Was it worth the wait to get to the right person? And it's always a resounding yes. 110%. So I feel like if there's anyone out there that's like us, it's like, okay, I'm living my truth, but now I'm alone. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's coming. It's coming. This is so fitting for Valentine's Day. I'm laughing inside.
Yes.
Don't worry. Live your truth. And the right person at the right time will show up. Who knows? Maybe they're tied up in another relationship. Maybe they haven't found their truth yet. Maybe they're just not ready for you yet. Just give it time and just keep doing you. Keep doing you.
Yeah.
So,
and show yourself all of the love that you would want someone else to show you.
Oh,
that's how you find them.
Absolutely. And it usually happens when you're least expecting it. So don't be waiting either.
No, I don't even look anymore. I'm just, it'll happen when it happens.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for being here, Karen. If anyone would like to work with you, where can they find you?
They can find me online. My website's here at the bottom, but it's KarenDeanSpeaks.com. And on all the social media platforms, it's just you search at Karen Dean Speaks, and I'm there. And there's a link on my website to all the programs that I do. If you wanted to book me for a keynote speech at a conference, there's links to my books. And everything is there on my website.
Well, listeners, thank you for being here today. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I believe it will serve someone out there. And I know this will be around Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day. Give yourself all the love that you need, and give those that you love they deserve as well today. And we will see you next time. Thank you.